Where do things stand right now in the association? We're ready to tip off? Is that what's happening right now? What do you got for me?
I have been trying to preach, not caution, but caveats ever since they started down this road of we're going to restart the season. It's going to be in a bubble. It's going to be at the Disney campus. And everybody says, okay, great, we're back. Let's talk. Who's the favorites? And I've just, every time I've tried to pump the brakes, just saying, listen, there's a plan, but that doesn't mean we're actually, we're a long way from there. 3 weeks ago, whenever they first started to roll this out, we were still almost 2 months from a start date. As you and I talked today, we're still 5-6 weeks or something from when they'll play the first game or hope to play the first game. And as I've said all along, a lot can change. Well, a lot has changed. In the last 3 weeks, certain parts of the country, including Orange County, Florida, where the Disney Wide World of Sports complex is gotten really bad. The worst surge of cases that we've seen in months. So that certainly would give me pause. Whether that gives Adam Silver pause or the Players Union pause or anyone else associated with this restart plan, we'll see. I have no doubt that it does. I'm sure that they're monitoring this and are not thrilled with what they're seeing unfold. But at the same time, I don't know what the threshold is. How bad does it have to get? How many hospitalizations per day, or how many deaths? How many cases? What's the tipping point for them to say, you know what, it's just not worth it? I don't know if there's a number. I don't know if this is just by feel, or if one day their epidemiologists that they're consulting walk in. Well, they don't walk into any offices at this point, but they pull up Adam on the Zoom call and say, Adam, we think you got to call this thing off. I don't know what that tipping point is, but I assume that there is one. And but look, right now it's all it's all a go, and there are players that we've seen day by day deciding not to go. But it's only a handful. The league is viable. The stars are all going as far as we can tell. And I think chances are this still probably happens unless things get really catastrophic in Central Florida.
Well, I mean, just like everything, Howard, COVID is finding the weak spots in everything, whether it's our healthcare system or people's relationships. Just seriously, not to go too deep here, but it is real world stuff that COVID seems to find the weak spots, people's feelings of loneliness, and it just keeps on putting the pressure on. Trevor Ariza saying he's not going because he's got visitation rights for only 1 month this year, and it's during the bubble time. He's not going. I mean, this is real life stuff. Are you hearing any more stories of maybe people coming over from Europe don't want to come because Western Europe, the European Union, seems to have gotten a much better handle on this than our country? What are you hearing about players? Because that's, to me, the way that this doesn't go. That whatever plan they have for COVID and their health and safety protocols they feel is ready to just got to get everyone there, and then they can zip up the community there in Disney World. What are you hearing from other players that say I don't want to go for whatever reason?
Something that an agent told me a couple of weeks back was, and I don't remember what the number he threw out was, and I don't even know if it was just an estimate on his part just based on conversations, but there were I think a few dozen players who had girlfriends or wives expecting children this summer, or sometime between now and maybe when the bubble ends. And they were saying, listen, just on that alone, guys are not going to want to be cut off from their pregnant girlfriends, pregnant wives. That's a perfectly reasonable thing, and he's like, keep an eye out for that. In terms of guys coming back from Europe, I mean, I haven't heard anything, or from around the world, I haven't heard anything along those lines in terms of just that the U.S. is in a worse off shape than a lot of other places. But look, anything you or I could think of that might crop up as a concern, the spike in cases in Florida, any general concern about exposing yourself, travel, what it might mean for your family. Just injury concerns, because they've all been off for so long that nobody's in basketball shape, and they're only going to have a few weeks to ramp up. This is like nothing else they've ever done, because in a normal off season, you have access to gyms, and you're still playing pickup ball, and you still can work with your trainer. This is like nothing else that these players have been through. A lot of them haven't even had access to the baskets to shoot at. and they're going to jump back in, play 8 glorified exhibitions for some of these teams, these seeding games that are going to determine, the 1 through 8 in the East and West, and maybe determine whether a couple teams can sneak into the 8th seed in the East and West. They're going to play a couple weeks of these games, and then they're going to jump into playoffs. And so, Davis Bertans of the Wizards decides to opt out of this whole thing because he's heading toward free agency and the first major payday of his career, because he's just had a breakout season and has had a couple of ACLs. Like, why? Of course he wouldn't want to risk that under these circumstances. So any of these concerns, they're all valid, and these are personal decisions these guys are making. I don't blame any one of them if they decide to opt out, and they're giving up their paycheck for those games to do it, so they're willing to make that sacrifice, and I think people just need to respect that.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.